Hey girl, hey. Betwalu. Sawubona. Zachariah. All right, beautiful people. Top of the day. It is Tuesday, September the 1st. We here, September the 1st. September the 1st, 2020. Today we are reading Zechariah 8, 9, and 10. It is day 241 of the 2-year count, day 604. All right, y'all, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Promised blessings for Jerusalem. I have to say, this is one of my, I know I said about all the books of the prophets, but this has a promise in it that I constantly look back to when things seem kind of like, oh, is this really going to happen? How is it going to happen? I'm like, Father, something has got to give, but you keep on moving throughout the day and, remembering the promises of Yah and just keep on moving along till they come to pass. Hey, girl, hey, TT. Okay, y'all. Promised blessings for Jerusalem. Zechariah chapter 8. Then another message came to me from Yahuwah. This is what Yahuwah says. My love for Mount Zion is passionate and strong. I am consumed with passion for Jerusalem. And now Yahuwah says, I am returning to Mount Zion, and I will live in Jerusalem. Then Jerusalem will be called the faithful city. The mountain of Yahuwah will be called the holy mountain. This is what Yahuwah says. Once again, old men and women will walk Jerusalem streets with their canes and sit together in city squares, and the streets of the city will be filled with boys and girls at play. It's almost impossible for our people to do that right now, ain't it? They killing our people in the streets, and everybody got their senses heightened, and it's like, be careful, take that out. Like, we got to do a whole rundown of stuff that we need to do before we leave out the house to making sure we make it back to the house safely, right? So I so look forward to this day right here. I'm going to just read that again. I'm going to read it again. Verse 3 of chapter 8 of Zechariah. This is what Yahuwah says. Verse 4. This is what Yahuwah says. Once again, old men and women will walk Jerusalem streets with their canes and will sit together in the city squares, and the streets of the city will be filled with boys and girls at play. This is what Yahuwah says. All this may seem impossible to you now, a small remnant of Yah's people, but is it impossible for me, says Yahuwah? This is what Yahuwah says. You can be sure that I will rescue my people from the east and from the west. I will bring them home again to live safely in Jerusalem. They will be my people, and I will be faithful and just toward them as their God. Now, let me say something. When I was younger, like, my mama gave me a Bible. Matter of fact, it looked just like my little purple Bible. But every time, and I wouldn't read it like that for real when I was younger. I was like 10, 11, right? But and I remember we stayed out Ocean View in Norfolk, Virginia, right? So, but every time I would open my Bible, it will open up to particular passages in Isaiah and Jeremiah, and also in Zechariah, and that scripture will always stick out to me that says, you will be my people and I will be your God. And it just stuck with me throughout my life. And as I'm older, and even now as I'm learning and really understanding what this is about, and how Yahuwah has been talking to me ever since I was a little girl, and in different things. It's like the promises he was constantly giving me as I was growing up. But as I read through this now, I think about all those times when I would open it, and it seemed like that would light up from out the page, so I think about it now, and I'm like, you've been showing me these promises all this time. I've been growing and developing and learning to understand what you've been really saying to me, and it really strengthens my faith and hope in him that much more, so I'm like, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. Okay, I'm going to read verse 7 again. I see Trina, she said, what must be happening to you too? Okay. All right, I'm going to try and keep my composure while I'm reading through this. Okay. Verse 7 again. This is what Yahuwah says. You can be sure that I will rescue my people from the east and from the west. I will bring them home again to live safely in Jerusalem. They will be my people, and I will be faithful and just toward them as their God. And this is what Yahuwah says. Be strong and finish the task. Ever since the laying of the foundation of the temple of Yahuwah, you have heard what the prophets have been saying about completing the building. Before the work on the temple began, there were no jobs and no money to hire people or animals. No traveler was safe from the enemy, and there were enemies on all sides. I had turned everyone against each other. But now I will not treat the remnant of my people as I treated them before, says Yahuwah. For I am planting seeds of peace and prosperity among you. The grapevines will be heavy with fruit. The earth will produce its crops, and the heavens will release the dew. Once more, I will cause the remnant in Judah and Israel to inherit these blessings. Among the other nations, Judah and Israel among the other nations, Judah and Israel became symbols of a cursed nation, but no longer. I will rescue you and make you both a symbol and a source of blessing. So don't be afraid. Be strong and get on with rebuilding the temple. For this is what Yahuwah says. I was determined to punish you when your ancestors angered me, and I did not change my mind, says Yahuwah. But now I am determined to bless Jerusalem and the people of Judah. So don't be afraid. But this is what you must do. Listen to this. Listen to this. He repeating it again. His message is always the same. He said, but this is what you must do. Tell the truth to each other. Render verdicts in your courts that are just and that lead to peace. Don't scheme against each other. Stop your love of telling lies that you swear the truth. I hate all these things, says Yahuwah. Here's another message that came to me from Yahuwah. This is what Yahuwah says. The traditional fast and times of mourning you have kept in early summer, midsummer, autumn, and winter are now ended. They will become festivals of joy and celebration for the people of Judah. So love, truth, and peace. This is what Yahuwah says. People from nations and cities around the world will travel to Jerusalem. The people of one city will say to the people of another, come, let us go to Jerusalem to ask Yahuwah to bless us. Let's worship Yahuwah. I am determined to go. Many peoples and powerful nations will come to Jerusalem to seek Yahuwah and ask for his blessing. That's not happening yet, y'all. That's still to come. This is what Yahuwah says. In those days, 10 men from different nations and languages of the world will clutch to the sleeve of one Jew. I know a lot of people take that out of context, but they're talking, just a simple put once they realize, oh, snap, y'all the people? We're going with you, bruh. We're going with you. Like, seriously, that's what it means. Like, in those days, 10 men from 10 different nations and tongues and languages of the world will clutch at the sleeve of one Jew, or some versions, I'm getting tongue-tied. Some versions say will grab the hem of a Jew. That's the one that's most commonly used, from what I've seen and heard. They will clutch at the hem or grab at the hem and say, hey, bro, we're going with you, So I read it again. This is what Yahuwah says. In those days, 10 men from different nations and languages of the world will clutch at the sleeve of one Jew, and they will say, please let us walk with you, for we have heard that Yah is with you. All right, if y'all haven't known, y'all should probably look into the tenets of the current state of Israel, as a lot of them are awakening, as Yahuwah said they would, realizing that we have inherited lies from our fathers, our forefathers, our ancestors have lied to us. We are not the people. They are realizing that they are converts from Europe, European converts, descendants of Ashkenaz. All right. And what they speak is not true Hebrew. It's a mix of Yiddish and German. Yeah, look into that. They know it. They even got some of the people teaching the truth. I'm like, y'all, go ahead and wake up and tell your people, because a lot of times when we tell our people, they don't really listen to us for real, but they listen to it when another skin tone tells them. But I'm like, all right, whatever. We've been telling y'all all along, but okay, whatever. As long as y'all hear the message, but It's better for those that hear it a lot earlier. I'm just like, okay, well. Anyway, Zechariah chapter 9, judgment against Israel's enemies. This is the message from Yahuwah against the land of Aram and the city of Damascus, for the eyes of humanity, including all the tribes of Israel, are on Yahuwah. Doom is certain for Hamath, near Damascus, and for the cities of Tyre and Sidon, though they are so clever. Tyre has built strong fortresses and has made silver and gold as plentiful as dust in the streets. But now Yahuwah will strip away Tyre's possessions and hurl its fortifications into the sea, and it will be burnt to the ground. The city of Ashkelon will see Tyre fall and be filled with fear. Gaza will shake with terror, as will Ekron, for their hopes will be dashed. Gaza's king will be killed, and Ashkelon will be deserted. Foreigners will occupy the city of Ashdod. I will destroy the pride of the Philistines. I will grab the bloody meat from their mouths and snatch the detestable sacrifices from their teeth, i.e., which also tells you that the sacrifices were something that were eaten. Listen to what he said. I will grab the bloody meat. First of all, you're supposed to eat meat with blood in the first place, but here it's an example. I will grab the bloody meat from their mouths and snatch the detestable sacrifices from their teeth. You eat with this, right? Then the surviving Philistines will worship our God and become like a clan in Judah. The Philistines of Ekron will join my people as the ancient Jebusites once did. I will guard my temple and protect it from invading armies. I am watching closely to ensure that no more foreign oppressors overrun my people's land. Zion's coming king. Rejoice, O people of Zion. Shout in triumph, O people of Jerusalem. Look, your king is coming. He is righteous and victorious, yet he is humble, riding on a donkey's colt. You know what? When I was reading this right here, it was shenanigans added here. It didn't say that in the original text. There was no mention about the donkey, but this was added to make it match what they put in the New Testament. I'm going to just leave that right there. Y'all got to look into that. I will remove the battle chariots from Israel and the war horses from Jerusalem. I will destroy all the weapons used in battle, and your king will bring peace to the nations. His realm will stretch from sea to sea and from the Euphrates River to the ends of the earth. Because of the covenant I made with you, sealed with blood, I will free your prisoners from death in a waterless dungeon. Come back to the place of safety, all you prisoners who still have hope. I promise this very day that I will repay 2 blessings for each of your troubles. Judah is my bow, and Israel is my arrow. Jerusalem is my sword, and like a warrior, I will brandish it against the Greeks. Remember that whole Yahuwah uses a nation to chastise other nations. Now Yahuwah is going to use Jerusalem and Judah and its people, his holy people, to chastise the other nations, right? Now read it again. Judah is my bow, and Israel is my arrow. Jerusalem is my sword, and like a warrior, I will brandish it against the Greeks. Yahuwah will appear above his people. His arrows will fly like lightning. Yahuwah will sound the ram's horn and attack like a whirlwind from the southern desert. Yahuwah will protect his people, and they will defeat their armies by hurling great stones. They will shout in battle as though drunk with wine. They will be filled with blood like a bowl, drenched with blood like the corners of the altar. On that day, Yahuwah, their God, will rescue his people, just as a shepherd rescues his sheep. They will sparkle in his land like jewels in a crown. How wonderful and beautiful they will be. The young men will thrive on abundant grain, and the young women will flourish on new wine. Last chapter for today, y'all. Zechariah chapter 10. Yahuwah will restore his people. Ask Yahuwah for rain in the spring, for he makes the storm clouds, and he will send showers of rain, so every field becomes a lush pasture. Household gods give worthless advice. Fortune tellers predict only lies, and interpreters of dreams pronounce falsehood that give no comfort. So my people are wandering like lost sheep. They are attacked because they have no shepherd. My anger burns against you, shepherds, and I will punish these leaders. For Yahuwah has arrived to look after Judah, his flock. He will make them strong and glorious, like a proud war horse in battle. From Judah will come the cornerstone, a tent peg, a bow for battle, and all the rulers. Listen, you hear that? Remember when I said Yahuwah always raises up like the prophets and the leaders from among the current generation? The king will come from the current generation. Listen, I read it again. From Judah will come the cornerstone, the tent peg, the bow for battle, and all the rulers. Remember I said Judah was the ruling class? If you read, like, all of this is in almost plain language if you read it enough. If you read enough, you become familiar with it and how Yahuwah speaks and how he speaks through his prophets, so you can clearly tell what's what. The more you read it, the more solid you become, and you're able to decipher truth from error. You'll know when something sticks out that was added. It's like, wait a minute, this throws the whole thing off. What's going on with this? Is it a bad translation? Was it something that was added? Am I missing something? Like, seriously, you'll begin to go through that whole process when you read through it and you get familiar with the words. From Judah will come the cornerstone, the tent peg, the bow for battle, and all the rulers. They will be like mighty warriors in battle, trampling their enemies in the mud under their feet. Since Yahuwah is with them as they fight, they will overthrow even the enemy's horsemen. I will strengthen Judah and save Israel. I will restore them because of my compassion. It will be as though I had never rejected them. For I am Yahuwah, their God, who will hear their cries. The people of Israel will become like mighty warriors, and their hearts will be made happy as if by wine. Their children too will see it and be glad. Their hearts will rejoice in Yah. When I whistle to them, they will come running, for I have redeemed them. From the few who are left, they will grow as numerous as they were before. Though I have scattered them like seeds among the nations, they will still remember me in distant lands. They and their children will survive and return again to Israel. I will bring them back from Egypt and gather them from Assyria. I will resettle them in Gilead and Lebanon until there is no more room for them all. They will pass safely through the sea of distress, for the waves of the sea will be held back, and the waters of the Nile will dry up. The pride of Assyria will be crushed, and the rule of Egypt will end. By my power I will make my people strong, and by my authority they will go wherever they wish. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. Now, let me bring up something that really had, well, it does have something to do, but not really with the reading today, but it kind of does. Okay, so there is this guy, a Jewish guy, Caucasian skinned brother. But he's over there. He's still, I watch him. Now, his name is Stephen Ben-Nun, right? And the name of his show is Israeli News, right? So I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at making sure I'm not missing anything, and what I am missing, I'm trying to fill it in, diligently searching and researching stuff, right? So anyway, he did a little quick video yesterday, right? And matter of fact, I mentioned him before about him. He currently lives in Florida, and he keeps in touch. He travels a lot back and forth to Israel. So he has some people in positions of authority that know what's going on, even though some people in NASA, and they kind of give him some inside information, and he'll tell it to us without giving away the people who's giving it. It's been kind of spot on to what we've been saying. I'm like, okay, so I listen to him. Now, I don't agree with everything he teaches, because he still believes that they're the people, but people have been asking him, and he kind of mentioned, he was like, well, we're not going to really get into all that. I'm like, okay, but at least you're thinking about it. But I'm listening to him, right, to see where he's going, because although I don't agree with everything, there's some things that he does say that's the truth. I'm learning I'm really good with separating the meat from the bones most of the time, right? So I eat the meat, spit out the bones, gather information. But anyway, I said all that to say, he brought up yesterday, the video that he did yesterday, I forget the title of it. I'm going to go back and look for it. He just did it yesterday, so it should be easy for me to find. And it was about 20-minute video. But anyway, he brought up something about Remember how I was telling you when I read the book of Maccabees? I'm like, oh snap. The abomination that causes desolation happened here, and it was the king here. He did all that. So remember, he started talking about that, and the whole point of me saying that was when he came across that, he realized, wait a minute, this has already happened. I'm like, yes, David. Okay, get the truth, right? So I'm like, okay, we got a white person telling the truth now, right? So I'm like, okay, tell it to the people, because he got a whole bunch of followers and stuff. So I kept on listening to it. And he was like, well, and I went to research. He said, guys, now I know before that, I said this, but I went back and I looked, and this has already happened. Talking about that, because the church teaches like it's a coming antichrist and stuff. And I just mentioned this to y'all. It ain't even been 2 weeks when I was telling y'all about it. I was like, y'all better go read the book of Maccabees. I say in the first chapter it talks about this that had happened. And he started talking about it. I was like, yeah. I was like, I wonder how many people is actually going to go back and research and look at what he was saying. But I'm like, I was super excited about him bringing that out. So I'm just like, oh man, I wish people would listen to this, because you can begin adjusting your belief systems to actual truth. A lot of time people, they're not willing to adjust what they believe because they've been taught it since they were pretty much born and grew up. And then when I say I'll just refer to the church because that's how I grew up. I grew up in the church, so as you get older and you begin to look into things, it's like, wait a minute, and it challenges what you believe. Some people, they just gonna write it off and go about their business, and they're not gonna change their theology and what they believe. They're not, even if it don't make sense to them, they're not gonna take the time and go like, okay, I know my parents taught me this and I grew up this way. I was like, but some just don't seem right to me, and I'm just gonna go. And that's how it was. I was like, something, and as the days grew on and the years grew on, it bugged me so bad. I was like, look, and I just became real uncomfortable inside the church, and it just seemed like it was a bunch of shenanigans going on to me, and that's not why I was going. Although I was worshiping Yah and calling him by another name, which is why I don't call him JC. And there are a lot of believers who really do love Yah, but they're still calling him by the name JC just because I'm like, okay, we ain't gonna harp on that. I was like, but it becomes too confusing to people, and that's what confused me a lot. You calling him by all these different names. I was like, okay, let's just stick with the one name, Yahuwah. It's kind of universal in all languages, so to speak. I mean, it changes slightly, but I add the creator of heaven and earth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, just to make sure we're talking about the same God here, and some people do that, but they still call him JC. I'm like, okay, you baby, all right. Just so I'm not confusing people, and because it confused me too much, because sometimes when you're talking to people and you say JC, they're still thinking it was two people, it's like, but I'm like, how does that make sense to you guys? You say he's his son, but then you say he is God. I'm like, okay, if that makes sense to you, okay, you go ahead with that, but I'm going to keep it non-confusing for people. We're just going to call him by one name, the creator of heaven and earth, Yah. He's the salvation. He's our salvation. He's our deliverer. He's our redeemer. Just to keep it simple, Yah. Yah is always his name. Even the translation, I said it before, even the translation of Yahusha or Yeshua, it means Yah is salvation. It doesn't mean that this particular person is salvation. That's just what the name means. It's referring you back to Yah. Yah is our salvation. Yah is our deliverer, right? All of Yahuwah, just about all of Yahuwah's people have a portion of Yah's name in it. It don't mean that our people are Yah. It's a reminder that Yah is my deliverer. Yah is my deliverer. I hope that makes sense to y'all. But anyway, I'm going to post Stephen Ben-Noon's video down there. Like I said, I got super excited because I see him changing his theology and the way he thinks, because he actually went and researched it. Like, he really went and searched it out. He's like, wait a minute. This has actually happened. This has happened back in the time of the king, the king. I'm gonna put the king down there. But anyway, y'all know, if y'all went and actually read Maccabees, you'll know who that king was. And I've been saying his name, and I just had a brain fart, and I can't remember his name. But anyway, that particular king right there, y'all. So with that being said, I'll post that down here in the comment section. You get a chance, just put it in your ear, listen to it, and you will see what I'm talking about. When he was like, well, yeah, okay, so, and you can tell he was trying to be considerate of his listeners, maybe trying not to lose any of his followers, because he said, yeah, I know some of you are going to be like, well, Steve, you told us this and told us that. He said, but yeah, and kind of some of that, he said, but that was before I understood and I had this missing piece, so we got to kind of adjust our thinking and our theology on this. He said, some of you, and he was pretty much saying, I may lose some of you, but, he said, we'll come across the truth. We're just going to have to bring it. I'm like, yeah, Steve, so, but anyway, I'm not biased with the information that I listen to because I like to research stuff, and I'm gonna if you because you may have something that I don't currently have, so I'm gonna listen to you. Like I said, I'm gonna weed through what you're saying. I'm gonna eat the meat, and I'm gonna spit out the bones, and I'm gonna keep going about my business. Take all the good pieces and put them in their proper places. And if I found out I have one piece in the wrong place, when I realize it, I'm going to adjust it. Even if I don't have the piece, we're going to slightly remove this piece from the puzzle because you don't fit here. There's another piece that should go here. You don't get what I'm saying. But anyway, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the reading for today. We read Zechariah 8, 9, and 10. It is Tuesday, September the 1st, 2020. Day 241, day 604 of the 2-year consecutive count. We're about to do this here blessing. So, y'all know what that's found. Numbers chapter 6. All right. Verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Love you. And I will see you when? Thursday morning, 7:15. We resting tomorrow, y'all. Peace.